Welcome to the ACE Your RES Exam Key Topic Deep Dive series. We've covered a lot of ground on property law, haven't we? But now, well, we're getting into the really crucial stuff for your exam prep.
Exactly. We're talking about where the lines are drawn using real-life examples.
Today, it's a deep dive into CEA's disciplinary actions, enforcement trends, and some pretty serious prosecution cases.
That's right. Our mission today is really to look at these cases, the ones involving criminal charges, professional misconduct, breaches of the ethical code, and pull out the absolute must-know rules.
Not just to pass the RES exam, although that's key, but also to make sure you stay on the right side of the line in your career.
We want to synthesize what happened, the consequences, financial, reputational, even jail time, and nail down those rules and penalties.
And when we talk professional misconduct, a lot of that revolves around the Code of Ethics and Professional Client Care, right? The CEPCC.
Absolutely. Understanding the CEPCC is vital, and seeing what happens when it's breached, well, that really drives the point home.
So where do we start? The really serious stuff.
Let's begin with the ultimate red line. We're talking violations so severe they actually lead to criminal convictions, prison sentences.
Okay.
And these cases, almost always, they boil down to one thing: mishandling client money.
Right. That seems to be a recurring theme. Let's look at a specific example. How about the case of Lou Siu? That one sounds pretty extreme.
Oh, it is. Lou Siu's case is a stark reminder of the consequences of abusing that agent-client trust. She was handling payments for a condo purchase at the Crest.
Okay.
Instead of sending the money where it needed to go, she misappropriated nearly $600,000 of her client's funds.
Wait, $600,000? That's a huge amount. How did that even happen, and what did she do with it?
Well, the sources say she spent it on luxury goods, Louis Vuitton, Christian Louboutin, Hermes, pure personal indulgence.
Wow.
And the impact on the client was devastating. Because Lou didn't make the payments, the client's option to purchase for the condo, it was terminated. And they ended up forfeiting almost $1.2 million in payments they'd already made to the developer. That money was just gone.
$1.2 million lost because the agent misused $600K. That's absolutely brutal. Did she try to cover it up?
She did. When the client started asking for proof of payment, she actually forged cashier's orders.
Forged them? How?
She edited images on her phone and then sent these fake documents via WeChat, trying to make the client think the payments had gone through.
Unbelievable. So what happened to her in the end?
She received a 3-year jail sentence. That was for criminal breach of trust involving a large chunk of that money, and also for the forgery.
3 years jail. Okay, so for anyone studying for the RES exam, what's the absolute core lesson here?
It couldn't be clearer. Agents are in a position of trust, a fiduciary position, but you must never handle transaction monies.
Never.
Deposits, option fees, rental payments, stamp duties, none of it. The moment you handle that money directly, as legal experts often point out, you're breaching your fiduciary duty.
And opening yourself up to potentially severe, even criminal consequences.
Exactly. That rule is non-negotiable.
Okay, message received. Tattoo that no money handling rule onto your brain, everyone. So, if jail is the worst outcome, what's next? What about ethical breaches that don't cross into criminal territory but still get you into serious trouble with the CEA Disciplinary Committee, the DC?
Right. These are the breaches of the CEPCC, the Code of Ethics. The DC steps in when an agent's interests conflict with their clients or when they fail in their duty of care.
Let's look at an example. What about the case of Ingu Ping Chuan James Ethan? That involved conflict of interest, didn't it?
It did. Ingu was representing a buyer. He found out the seller was willing to accept $1.02 million and possibly even $1.01 million.
Okay, good news for his client.
You'd think so. But Ingu didn't tell his client about these lower acceptable prices.
Why not? What was the motive?
It seems it was all about commission. At the $1.01 million price, his commission might have been around 1%, maybe $10,000.
Right.
But he apparently wanted his client to offer $1.06 million. Why? To try and secure a higher commission rate for himself, maybe 3%, which would be closer to $30,000.
So he deliberately withheld lower offers to try and boost his own payout.
That's what the findings suggest. He failed to convey the offers accurately and essentially acted against his client's financial interest.
That's a clear ethical breach. What did the DC decide?
They hit him hard. A $30,000 fine and a 12-month suspension. It was cited as one of the toughest DC penalties at the time. The client potentially lost out by $20,000 to $30,000 because of his actions.
So another key CEPCC principle for the exam. You have to submit every offer and counteroffer accurately and objectively.
And you absolutely cannot act if your interests conflict with your clients. Your duty is to the client, full stop.
Okay. What about misleading the public? Advertising seems like another area where agents can get tripped up. The Abel Ang Pei Xiang case.
Yes, Ang's case is about misleading advertisements, specifically breaching paragraph 12 of the CEPCC. He posted ads online for units in 3 new developments.
And the problem was?
The prices he listed were way off, significantly lower than the actual asking prices from the developers, sometimes by $260,000, sometimes over $1 million less.
Whoa, that's not a small discrepancy. That sounds like classic bait and switch.
Exactly. Designed to lure in potential buyers with unrealistic prices. CEA took a very dim view of this.
What was the penalty for Ang?
He received fines adding up to $14,000 and got a 5-month suspension. It really underscores the need for transparency and honesty in advertising. You can't just make up prices.
Right. Accuracy is key. Now, sometimes it's not just one mistake, is it? It can be a combination of things, like the Keeley Ping case.
That's a good example of multiple breaches compounding the issue. Key failed to declare conflict of interest. The sellers were actually her husband and in-laws.
Okay, that's a big one. Declaration is crucial.
Definitely. But it didn't stop there. She also violated several HDB resale procedures, facilitating an extended stay for the sellers, using an undated option to purchase, and granting the OTP on the same day as the seller's resale checklist was signed, completely ignoring the mandatory 7-day cooling-off period for HDB flats.
Wow, that's a whole list of procedural errors on top of the conflict of interest.
Exactly. It shows how slipping up on procedures and ethics can really stack up. Her penalty was a 3-month suspension, a total fine of $4,000, plus she had to pay $1,000 in costs to CEA.
The lesson there seems to be, disclose everything, follow procedures to the letter, especially the HDB rules, don't cut corners.
Precisely. Now, related to all this is the issue of practicing without being registered at all, and again, how that often connects back to mishandling money, especially rental funds.
Right, because you need to be registered with CEA to practice legally. What happens if you don't?
Well, look at Tan Sherpeng. He was actually the first unregistered agent prosecuted by CEA. He got 1 month in jail and a $32,000 fine.
For unregistered practice,
And for making a false statement to CEA. Then there was Sim Soon Leong Raymond. He practiced while unregistered and pretended to be a registered salesperson.
So identity theft, essentially.
In a professional context, yes. His penalty was a $40,000 fine. It's a serious reminder for everyone, agents and public, to always check the CEA public register.
Absolutely. Verify credentials. And this brings us back to money, specifically rental scams.
Yes, unfortunately, rental scams and agents misappropriating rental deposits or payments are still a problem, and the consequences are severe, reinforcing that no handling money rule.
Even for smaller amounts.
Absolutely. We've seen cases cited where misusing just $7,500 in advance rental led to 6 months in prison. Another case, as $14,000 in collected rent spent without permission, 15-month jail.
So the amount doesn't have to be hundreds of thousands like in the Lucia case.
Yeah.
Any breach of trust with client money is treated very seriously.
Very seriously. And there was Tang Yang Yao Daniel. He got 36 months for cheating tenants, plus an extra 6 weeks for using a counterfeit stamp certificate.
Counterfeit stamp duty certificate. How did he manage that?
He apparently forged it by altering a genuine one. It shows that any kind of forgery related to the transaction is also severely punished.
Okay, so the message keeps coming back loud and clear. For the RES exam and for your practice, do not handle transaction monies.
Correct. Clients must pay directly to the appropriate parties, developers, HDB, lawyers, not the agent.
Let's zoom out a bit. What are the overall trends? Is CEA cracking down more?
Well, looking at the numbers from, say, 2019 to 2023, there's certainly been consistent enforcement. 19 agents convicted in court, 23 had their registrations revoked entirely.
That's significant.
Plus, over 100 faced financial penalties or suspensions from the disciplinary committees, and 38 received composition fines. So yes, CEA is actively pursuing misconduct.
And the potential financial penalties have increased too, right?
They have. In 2021, the maximum fine the DC could impose jumped significantly up to $100,000 per case for an individual agent and $200,000 for an agency.
Per case. But there's another big change coming related to anti-money laundering, isn't there? Post-2025.
Yes, this is a really important development you need to understand for the exam. The new AML bill changes how penalties are calculated for AML and related breaches.
How so? What's the difference?
Previously, if an agent committed multiple breaches within a single transaction or case, the total fine was capped at that maximum, like the $100 for misconduct.
Okay.
The new structure moves away from a per-case penalty cap to a per-contravention basis for these specific breaches.
Per contravention, meaning each individual breach can attract its own penalty, potentially stacking up.
Exactly. The example discussed in Parliament illustrated this well. Imagine an agent commits, say, 2 AML breaches and 2 other misconduct breaches in one deal.
Under the old system, maybe they'd hit the $100,000 cap for misconduct.
Right. But under the new system, they could face up to $200,000 just for the AML breaches, plus up to $100,000 for the other misconduct. That's a potential total of $300,000.
Wow, that's a huge jump in potential liability. Why the change?
It's about stronger deterrence, plain and simple, especially with high-value properties. If an agent makes, say, a $200,000 commission on a $10 million property deal,
Then an $100,000 fine might seem like just a cost of doing business if they're acting improperly.
Precisely. Raising the potential penalties so dramatically makes the financial risk of misconduct much, much higher. The goal is to ensure the penalties far outweigh any potential illicit gains.
That makes sense. It really raises the stakes for compliance. Okay, this has been incredibly insightful, maybe a bit sobering too. Let's quickly sum up the absolute essential takeaways for RES exam candidates listening right now.
Okay, key takeaways. Number 1, and we've said it a lot, never, ever handle transaction monies. Full stop.
Got it. Number 2.
Always convey every single offer and counteroffer accurately and objectively to your client. Your commission should never influence this process.
Right. Duty to client first. And 3rd,
Declare conflicts of interest clearly and upfront. And stick rigorously to all procedural rules, especially HDB regulations. No shortcuts.
excellent summary. Handle no money, convey all offers, declare conflicts, follow rules.
That's the core.
Now, maybe one final thought for our listeners to chew on. Something beyond the major cases.
Well, it's worth remembering that it's not just the big fraud cases that CEA looks into, even seemingly smaller issues, things about professionalism or maybe poor communication.
Things people might complain about online, for instance.
Exactly. Those kinds of complaints can and sometimes do lead to a formal CEA investigation. Even if the outcome is relatively minor, maybe just a warning letter, it's still an official mark against your conduct.
So the message is maintain the highest standards in all your dealings.
Absolutely. Operate ethically and professionally at all times because the CEA takes all forms of errant behavior seriously. Don't give them any reason to look your way.
That is really solid advice. Aim high in your conduct. Thank you so much for breaking all this down for us. It's vital information.
My pleasure. Understanding these boundaries is key to a successful and ethical career.
Indeed. So thank you for joining us on this critical deep dive into CEA disciplinary actions. To everyone listening and preparing, we wish you the very, very best of luck in your upcoming RES exam. You can do this.